So my youngest has been learning about Black History Month.
Okay, well, sure, it's February.
And he's trying to explain it to us. And the kid is a sponge, but he only gets like 70% of the stuff. Like there's definitely gaps.
Sure.
Could help him fill in. So he's trying to explain to us the other day that they're learning about somebody for Black History Month. He couldn't remember their name, but they played bat ball for the Dodgers.
Okay.
And my wife fell out of her chair because she's like, bat ball? And I was like, don't correct him. Just leave it.
Don't fix that.
I want that kid to be 16 years old, still calling it bat ball. Oh my God, it was hysterical.
Quiet, please.
At the same time, he was trying to talk about the groundhog we had in the front yard, and he referred to it as the underground beaver, which I also thought was hysterical.
Well, it kind of is. It kind of is.
I mean, it kind of is, right? Like 4, underground beaver. It makes sense.
2.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 3, Episode 5. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Seattle.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, we'll look at Part 2 of our tech predictions for 2025.
I was told that in Part 1, we weren't being grandiose enough with our last predictions.
An asteroid is headed toward the Earth.
That's better. I think that's way better.
It's National Break Up With Your Carrier Day. Originally, this was to get you unstuck with one of the stickiest services we all use, the cell phone carrier. But we might all use this day to think about breaking up with any sticky subpar service in our lives, from banking to streaming services you haven't even turned on in a few months, to that decidedly unhealthy relationship you have with your local car dealer. National Break Up With Your Carrier Day is the perfect day to tell them all we need to talk.
You can literally buy a car on Amazon right now, which gets you out of the whole tractor beam of the car stealership model.
Sure.
Which, by the way, just like taxi cabs, I'm not going to be sad when that model goes away.
Oh, for sure. How is your week going?
Well, good. Thank you for asking.
Sure.
I added my children to the U.S. Trusted Traveler program as part of Global Entry.
Yeah.
For reasons I do not understand nor know, they made this free for kids starting back in like October of 2024, which is lovely. So this is so you can get through like the express line, when you come back into the country.
I'm with you.
But they say Trusted Traveler program, and I'm afraid during the interview they're going to, like, I don't know, talk to my kids. Like, I wouldn't trust them. Like, are you going to trust these guys? Like, are you sure? Like, the little one lies nonstop. Sure. The lie last week was, we asked him who he sat with in class, and he said, there were only 2 people in my class today. And we're like, oh, really? Yeah, the rest are all out sick. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, who was there? And he started naming off names. And I was like, well, buddy, that's more than 2. And he goes like, just kidding. Only 2 weren't there. It's like, why are you lying about this? It's just not important. Anyway.
Because he can make you laugh.
Let's see. This week, I am such a nerd. I spent more hours than I would care to admit to here on the program building a custom version of my DNS server so that I could do a nifty little fall-through trick for local domains and try to get like into a Docker container.
Tell us more.
This is literally what I do. You can hear everybody turning off their podcast right now as I'm saying this.
Sure.
Anyway, I realize I was probably overthinking it, and sometimes I just wish that I could be like other regular people and just use other people's DNS, which would be lovely.
No, don't do that.
But I can't. And then based on yesterday and today, I'm picking back up my plans from last year to build an Ark.
Exactly. We are back to having rain. It is hard enough rain that I canceled literally everything I had to drive to today.
So wait, are you going to walk to it? What are you going to do?
I'm not going. I love hard rain when I don't have to be anywhere.
There's got to be somebody in porn whose name was Hard Rain. Right? There's no way you're the first person to put those 2 words together and be like, oh, here comes hard rain. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Especially because in Los Angeles, I don't know if you know this or not, because you just moved here. If there's like a tenth of an inch of rain falls, everyone crashes.
People can't drive. Sure. People can't drive.
Everyone has bald fucking tires, and then you've got 8 months of oil built up on the surface. It all just floats right to the top.
Sure.
And then people just drive the same way, and like every freeway is stopped.
Driving the same speed as if it were dry.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, okay.
This is a classic mid-latitude cyclone. So we're going to get like 2 inches of rain, which doesn't sound like a lot if you live in Seattle.
Okay.
But if you live in Los Angeles, that's a lot of rain. We could have flash floods and mudslides.
Are you Dallas Parker?
I'm Dallas Parker.
Mid-latitude cyclone. Wow. All right. Good job.
Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
Google will use machine learning to estimate a user's age. Google said it's testing a machine learning model in the U.S. to help determine whether someone is under 18, allowing it to provide more age-appropriate experiences across its platforms.
I looked at some of their source code on this, and it just said the function is called check age, and it just said return 18 plus. So apparently it's not very
No matter
learning.
what, everybody's 18.
Yep. This has been the problem. So first of all, I'm really glad that they're doing this, that Google is doing this.
Yeah.
But other folks have been saying for years, you think about like the Googles and the Metas of the world that know you so well based on your behaviors, based on your search terms. They know the things that you don't even know you're looking for yet, right? They are excellent this. And it does not seem like a bridge too far to assume that they could tell your age within a reasonable amount.
They've been able to do it for a very long time. They've known they've been able to do it for a very long time. It is against their interests to do it. And that's why they've drugged their feet for so long.
Of course. So you're like, you have these things that we've designed to try to protect our kids, whether it's, getting them off social media or the Children Online Protection Act. And they're like, yeah, but we just asked them in a box. You got to check here if you're over 13. And I'm like, oh,
sure, that did it.
My 5-year-old couldn't figure out to check the box and hit okay. Like, come on, guys. So I'm disappointed that it was begrudgingly had to drag them across the line to get them here to do it. But I'm glad they're doing it, because once one does it, I think they're all going to have to.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think it is a net good thing. It took a long fucking time, but here we are.
I don't know. I think the others will be able to drag their feet successfully as well. Google seems to.
I don't know. Once you can point to one of them saying, hey, we've done this, I feel like the rest of them need to come along.
I'm impressed with how long Mark Zuckerberg has been able to hold out from various congressional requests.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean...
Oh, we'll get right back to you on that, and then literally they never hear from him again.
Well, if I was a lizard person that could change the color of my skin at will, then I would also be able to. I'm never working for Meta, am I? Meta's never hiring me for anything. What I think is actually be super interesting from this, and I'm not saying this in jest, is going to be this, like what I think was like emergent behavior, right? Your intention here as Google is to be able to determine the user's age so that you can show them content and presumably restrict them from things that you don't think they should see. With any sort of what I'll call like parental protection, kids are way better than anyone else, than the parents, than the solution providers themselves at figuring out ways around it.
Of course.
I'm looking forward to how kids are going to get around this, right? There's going to be like some script running around. They're going to be like, go to Google, type in air fryers, click on the top one, put it in your cart, close that. Now search for pants with elastic waistbands. It's going to be like that sort of shit that you're going to pump into it, right? Like now put in Captain and Tennille. And like you just put all this shit into Google and then be like, oh, well, clearly you're in your 50s. Like they'll
just give you a list.
Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to that sort of cat and mouse game. It's going to be really fun. At the end of the day, if you see enough traffic from somebody, you can't hide from it. You're going to go back to your natural tendencies. And if the net effect of this is they get more people buying pants with elastic and listen to Captain and Tennille,
win-win.
We're doing pretty good.
Sure.
Look at that's a net win.
I think they actually might want to market to kids who are under 18. And this may be a way of figuring out, oh, these kids are under 18. I want to sell them the...
Oh, but I think that's already happening. I don't think that's been... I mean, there wasn't a checkbox for it because they couldn't do it, but it was already there.
Yeah.
Maybe this does bring them up some checkbox. I mean, that would be kind of interesting if you had some set of rules and you said, well, now we can market to the 13 to 18 group or whatever.
There's benefit, even though they don't have credit cards. There's benefit to being able to know who they are.
I mean, this, and they're sort of pitching this as an extension to Safe Search. So Safe Search is actually a good product from Google, does a pretty good job of trying to filter out things you wouldn't want your kids to see. I believe in it. So I suspect they're going to roll this out everywhere as they figure it out. My disappointment comes from the fact that there is no competing product to Safe Search. I want the opposite. I only want to see shit that's terrible sometimes.
Give me unsafe search.
So just show me all, like, yeah, exactly. I want to, like, just show me the darkest corners of the web. Like, this is what Silk Road says about this problem.
Wow.
That's all. I have slightly different internet usage patterns than you, I believe.
The lazy man's way of getting to the real garbage that's on the internet.
There is plenty of garbage that'll get through Safe Search. I just think it's all about your definition of garbage. In the next week, though, Google's supposed to be allowing parents to limit calls and message notifications on your kids' phones and tablets during school, which I think that's a really great thing.
Yeah.
So that you can basically put in like contacts, known contacts, family members, whatever, and it will only allow those through to the child's phone during
school hours. Yeah.
During sort of school hours. I think that's great. I still hope to be able to hold on to the, no phone before 8th grade or no phone before 8 or something like that. I think is what they call it. That seems like a good thing, but we'll see how much
before 8 p.m. or before 8th grade?
Before 8th grade.
Wow, that's great.
I think that's the general consensus is to try to keep them from that.
We held until 6th grade.
Okay.
And we were like barbarians compared to all the other parents. They just thought we were crazy because he couldn't have a phone before that.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. But still, in 6th grade, you give them an Android phone. So they're not giving them a phone at all. What's the difference? Hey, here's this thing that can get to like 1/3 of the internet and you can't talk to anybody except for fucking Green Bubble. Good luck. Like, he didn't get to talk to anybody on that. He was off on his own little island. Nope, not taking the bait, huh?
Because we didn't. We got an iPhone because he wanted an iPhone.
Oh, you know what? Let's just wrap the show up right now. I got everything I need. I am ready to go.
He still uses an iPhone.
Oh, that's so funny.
But we didn't want him on social media, so we didn't allow him on social media at that age either. And we didn't put him on social media because we didn't want to make any digital memorialization of something that he didn't want.
Of course. I get that. I am still afraid of if you steer them too far away from social products or just let's just call them technology product, digital products at large. Are you doing them a disservice? I'm trying to find that happy medium. I'm not there yet.
Okay, enough of the headlines. Up next, part 2 of our tech predictions for 2025.
Is that, wait, hold on. Is that what it says on my screen? I can't see it.
Well, maybe it's time for a new monitor.
Well, why spend hours looking for a standard resolution VGA monitor that costs more? Acquire a real gem. The 14-inch ONYX HiRez VGA monitor is a true multi-frequency monitor that provides VGA, Super VGA, HiRez VGA, even IBM 8514A resolution.
That's what I was looking for.
Isn't everyone?
Sure.
And for only a mere $459 US.
Wow.
Feature for feature, dollar for dollar, this is the most cost-effective monitor on the market today, and really yesterday. Plus, ONYX backs it up with their legendary service policy powered by confidence and enthusiasm. ONYX is truly the chip that is not off the same block.
Oh my.
What? It's better than the Cold Water Council, for Christ's sake.
Is it? Is it really?
You got a point.
Come on. We had some reactions from part 1 of our 2025 predictions, as you know.
In addition to the snoring.
Yes. My cousin Richard the Younger Parker informed me that my AR glasses powered by USB-C connecting to your phone, those exist.
Do you refer to him as Richard the Younger? Is it like Pliny?
We have a Richard the Younger and a Richard the Elder, yeah.
Like the Russian River? Because I got to enjoy the Russian River the Younger last week. So
Fantastic.
Beer week.
Richard pointed me to a link, and I'll put it in the show notes, for the X-Real 1 Pro glasses, which it turns out are pretty much exactly what I was predicting. The X-Real 1 Pro comes out in March.
Okay, two things. One, if it already exists and was announced at CES, I can't really say you were predicting it.
That's not really a prediction.
I mean, sure, we can pretend if you want, but I think that no.
I didn't know it existed, but I'm very happy it's going to come out. By the way, all this stuff that we're talking about, if it's going to come out in the calendar year of 2025, probably somebody's already working on it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, if they listen to the show, they get all their ideas from here. But the other thing I'm stuck on, okay, so you've got a Richard the Younger, Richard the Older. I'm assuming it's like a father-son, right?
That is correct.
Younger, older. Have they ever considered, instead of doing Richard the Younger, Richard the Older, just going with like Big Dick and Little Dick? Because I feel like that'd be a lot more fun.
I think that's what they're trying to stay away from.
I feel like if you're at Thanksgiving, you'd be like, hey, Big Dick, pass the gravy. No? Man.
I think Big Dick probably would be fine with that.
Well, guess what? You want to be Big Dick? You were born later, so you're Little Dick. Also, I love you trying to educate me on this, not remembering that my last name is in fact Little.
Sure.
But sure, let's pretend like I've never heard any of these jokes ever before. They're all new to me.
We also got a voicemail from one of our listeners, Mr. Shay Sharma.
Say that 3 times fast. Yes, it was fantastic. Shay, we should play that. I think it was a really fun little message we got from Shay.
Hi, CJ. I just want to let you know that I really liked your podcast today, your podcast. It was really funny. Also, you should find better advertisements, like maybe like a Nintendo Switch advertisement, and not ice water, because ice water sucks, kind of, really. And also, holograms are cool. Bye.
We are so sorry, Shay. Nintendo Switch still hasn't called to place their ad. We're just as heartbroken as you are. And yes, holograms are very cool.
I think the problem with advertising, specifically Nintendo Switch, and the reason they haven't called is because they listen to the show, I think is the problem. Just blacklisted the shows they don't want to be a part of, and they're just like, not those guys. The guy that doesn't swear is fine, but the other one, a lot of swearing. Didn't he literally just make a Big Dick, Little Dick joke? Didn't that happen?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Season 3? Okay, so what are we doing today?
We're going to move onward. We're going to do the rest of our predictions for 2025. This is Predictions 2025 Part 2.
Coming to you in mid-February.
Yes.
I didn't understand the mission last time.
Okay.
I thought we were supposed to like look at things that were in like we thought would come to fruition in the future in 2025.
Yeah.
But apparently I just needed to go look at what was announced at CES 2025 and just say, this is what's coming. Is that the thing I should have done?
I wasn't at CES. I had no idea this was coming. I just thought it was, of course, coming, because this is like the next step for this.
What I predict is there's going to be a network of computers all connected together that will take information from events like the Consumer Electronics Show.
More like tubes than a dump truck.
It's not a dump truck. It's a series of tubes. I really hope that makes it into the Smithsonian at some point.
That sentence?
Just like the description of the internet.
Sure.
Like they should just have whatever the first like the ARPANET interconnects, the first UCLA machine that talked to the whatever machine, and it should just say underneath it, it's a series of tubes.
Would you like to begin with your first prediction?
Yeah.
Let me just throw in one more thing here.
Of course.
Just to remind the home listener
and
CJ, our prediction categories are hopeful, probable, and certain.
And then you can apply a plus or a minus to each one.
I didn't know that, but okay.
A leading indicator. Yeah. Think of it like a probable plus, like we're heading towards certain.
Great.
Certain minus means I'm eroding back towards probable. I always like when I try to simplify things and I'm like, we'll use a 1 to 5 scale. And then I start giving numbers with halves. I'm like, oh, it's a 3.5. Like, what are you doing? This is the exact thing you tried to work around.
Avoid, yes.
DeepSeek, right? Everyone was just flattened by DeepSeek. Not everyone. I wasn't.
The market was flattened by it.
Yeah, the market. Okay.
And that's just silly.
I still think there were a couple things that play in the market. One of them was, man, this thing is way overvalued. We need a good reason for a haircut. And that was a great reason for a haircut. But we can debate this at a later date. This is not a prediction. My prediction is that you're going to see more sort of distinct AIs built on top of other AIs, using levering what you've done in one, massive amounts of training to help influence and start the other that may or may not be better. Hopefully some of them are better. That's going to be the path forward.
Large language models giving birth to small language models.
Or I like that you went back to the big dick, little dick naming. That would totally work. But more allowing you to you can jumpstart it, right? I bring everything back to programming. It's like you write the first compiler for C in assembly. And that sucked. But then you can write stuff in C going forward. Just don't lose the first compiler. If you do,
you got to rewrite it. It's a lot of work.
You got to rewrite it. And I kind of feel like you got something similar here where, if you can distill some of the basic elements of logic into a model or into a discrete set of inputs and outputs that you can then use as a base to train other models, you can advance things more. You don't have to start with basic logic every time. We can just have an established, this is what logic looks like.
Provided you don't make any errors, because you don't want those errors to carry over forever.
Well, no, I wouldn't say provided don't make any errors. I would say you have made errors. They will be there. You will find ways to update that base. That will constantly happen.
You have to update the base.
I do believe we are a long way away from saying this problem, let's call it the logic and reasoning set, has been resolved.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're there yet. So, but to me, that's a good thing because I don't need 1,000 different teams trying to solve the same set of problems. I need 3, maybe 5. Right. And you're going to get a good answer. And then I want everybody else to stack on top of that. So my prediction is that this AI into AI feedback loop will continue to increase. And you're going to see, and in this calendar year, more AIs making AIs efficient, if
more
you will.
DeepSeek type AIs.
Yes.
You're going to see more of those
outputs of one being used in the other. And I don't think that is bad. I think it just needs to be understood and disclosed. The fascinating part to me is that now you have these things that aren't directly recreatable. And then I start thinking about the digital wake, the things that we leave behind us and what we do and don't capture.
Sure.
And if you don't have that, especially if you can't trace that, at some point those learnings can get lost. Not the learning itself, but how you got to the learning is lost. That creates a very interesting problem, if you will, in the future. So I'm not too worried about that. We have this now, but it's kind of fascinating to watch how this is going to unfold. And it's really exciting to be here talking about it while this is happening. To be a part of this inflection point is pretty cool.
So lots of countries besides big countries like China, they'll be small countries that are able to come out with their own language models using AI to.
You're going to have, I can almost guarantee you're going to have like a model that'll be called AI, but there'll be a umlaut over it. And all it's going to do is figure out how to pack the furniture into a smaller flat pack. And that Swedish AI is going to make the smallest goddamn flat packs you've ever seen.
I think those packs don't have any airspace.
They pretty much don't.
Pretty close.
I'm always shocked. I open up some IKEA thing for the kids and there will be and it's big. It's 2 feet long, a foot wide, 4 inches thick. And I open it up and there's a strip of cardboard inside that's 1 inch wide and 2 feet long. And I'm like,
because that's all they had to fill.
But I'm always amazed. I'm like, wow, somebody just couldn't get it to 100%. Could you? You just it's got to be a badge of shame there at IKEA.
He's bonused by how close he comes.
His bonus is tied to how much extra room there is you have to fill with cardboard. It is shocking to me how they are able to design these things and feedback packaging into the design, and you get this perfect cubic,
for sure,
nightstand or whatever. They are just a modern marvel.
There's no way you aren't going back and redesigning your design. Once you start working on the packaging, because you have to go back and forth to get that thing as tight as they get it.
But I suspect they have some golden ratios and some rules they figured out at the start of the design.
Yeah, sure.
But it is just fascinating to me. And I love to make fun of IKEA for assembling their furniture, but I gotta say,
it's genius.
It's not only genius, but they've made it as easy as you can to put this together. You go buy furniture from someone that's not IKEA, that's self-assembly, and it's fucking terrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
My kid's crib, you had these really nice little pocket screws that held it together so you wouldn't see the screw face. It was great, except that you need to use an Allen key that you could only turn 1/8 of a turn.
Yeah.
And the screw, the bolt had 8 inches of thread on it. on it. So you just sit. I hated this thing. I hated
So you spend the rest of your life screwing it in?
Oh man, I was so miserable. And you can't get a drill bit in. You can't use anything, powered. So when we had to move it between rooms, it didn't fit in the hallway. I took out the windows. I took the windows out so I could move it.
That's easier than taking out the bolt.
Infinitely easier.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I had to take it apart when we finally got rid of it. And the folks that I gave it to, I told the wife, because I know the couple pretty well. I told the wife, I was like, don't tell your husband I gave this to you. Because she's like, why? And I'm like, he's going to be very pissed when he puts this together.
The day will come when he rues my existence.
Take it apart with an axe when you're done, please. Okay, so my prediction, AI into AI feedback loop is going to be increasing. You're going to see more products and more things built on top of it, and I am certain about that. No lifelines needed. Your turn.
Be pretty certain about that as well. You're thinking about things that are so grand and big, and I think that's really fun. I'm thinking of things that are very, very personal in some of these AI hearing aids.
That's pretty grand.
I think we're probably going to get them next year. I'm hoping we get them in 2025.
Really, wait, hold on. Let me. I don't know if I'm hearing the same thing that you're saying, which is ironic here.
Yeah.
So is this like you have these in, and let's just say like you're in the kitchen, and your wife is bitching at you about you need to do the dishes, and what you hear is instead of her bitching to you about it, which has never happened in my house, you hear like, sweetie, would you mind doing the dishes, please? Is it going to do that sort of AI translation? Because
I wasn't thinking it was changing or
think
correcting
about that.
what someone was saying.
How much would you pay for that? You would pay for that because I'll tell you. I will tell you exactly what my wife wants. My wife, and we've talked about this. She's asked me indirectly to make this for her. She watches very little TV. When she does, she has discovered the life hack that on YouTube TV you can watch things at 1.5 times.
Yes,
she wants that for other humans in live interaction.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
I'm right with her on that.
And I've sort of thought about it. I'm like, but what do you want to do on the in between time while you're waiting for it to queue?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't fucking care. I don't care what they see from me. They can just see me drooling. Doesn't matter to me. And now once you sort of hear that, like for example, some of the podcasts I listen to, every now and again, someone else will have the same podcast I've listened to turned on, not at 1.5x. And I want to
just miserable.
I want to carve my eyeballs out.
Oh yeah.
It's so terrible.
Sure.
So anyway, okay. AI hearing aids. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, let me be more specific about what I'm thinking about because current hearing aids are mostly discriminating sounds by frequency. And so wherever a human voice is, a male voice is a little lower than a female voice, wherever that voice is, you're going to amplify everything in that frequency range. And for a lot of us, that's kind of useless because I have 9,000 people talking at a party or whatever, and I'm getting all of them amplified. That's not really helping me be able to hear you.
You're getting all the parts of the sound wave that are in the part you can't hear, the
in that
frequency you can't hear.
Right.
And that's not what you want. You want to hear this human being you're looking at. Yeah, totally.
And AI can do that, as we found out from this making of the Beatles film, where they were actually able to break instruments apart to different tracks that were all in the same tracks, regardless of the fact that they were in the same frequency. Bust them apart into different tracks. Will you be able to do that? I'll be able to pull out your voice when I'm standing in a crowded room full of people talking and just be able to hear you and get rid of everybody else.
Don't quote me on this, but I think you're already seeing like a very early version of this in the Apple AirPods because the noise canceling on it is great. And the conversational awareness, when I've had it come on with noise canceling, I believe it is canceling the other sounds and focusing on the person that I'm talking to.
It's not canceling to an individual person. It's still pulling up everybody who is talking in that frequency.
Okay, I got to test that more with other people talking at the same time.
But it's coming.
Yeah, cool.
It is absolutely coming. Kind of a cool thing. I mean, hearing aids, you think, how are they going to improve hearing aids after all these years?
Yeah.
In 2022, they made it so that it's possible you can get hearing aids without a prescription for adults 18 years and older, which will continue to drive prices down because now it's not necessarily a prescriptive item.
I actually didn't know that came that late. I bought hearing aids for my father in that year and did not need a prescription. So I must have just got on early.
That was the year it all changed.
Yeah.
And that will bring prices down and it will bring technology up and AI is going to change.
Prescription for hearing aid, that is in sort of the bonkers land category. Like that's nuts.
In some cases, that's fairly useful. You should go have a hearing test, a professionally administered hearing test to make sure you're getting a hearing aid that is affecting the frequencies that you're having trouble with.
Sure, I agree with that, but it's not like it's a fucking Wednesday night and I'm looking for my fix and I'm trying to find another like a box of hearing aids to get my fix on. Like going out on the block. Hey man, you getting those left ear? You getting those good left ear Kirkland signature hearing aids?
It's not a narcotic. You're right.
Like, it doesn't seem like the thing you need to put even behind the counter. Like I get there's probably a bunch of garbage out there. Yeah, let's sort the garbage out so people don't buy that. But
the market is pretty good at doing that. I mean, that'll happen just by the market doing it.
I also don't need to be in my car in line at Walgreens picking up my hearing aid script and the fucking idiots give me 2 left ear hearing aids.
I'll tell you the advantage of the script is that then your insurance covers it. And so your $3,000 pair of...
Okay, or just drive the price down. Like, I get it. There's a lot of engineering in there. Is there more engineering in the hearing aids for $6,000 or my cell phone that I buy for $1,000?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's way more on your cell phone, of course.
What am I paying for?
Yeah.
Like, what apparatus am I paying for?
But if you wanted your insurance to pay for it, then it had to come from a script. But I think you're right. Innovation is going to go fast in hearing aids, and I think AI is only going to help that.
I've been saying for years, man, big hearing aid, they're coming for us.
It's little hearing aid. You don't even see them anymore. They go inside the ear canal, and they actually have like a couple little wires, super, super thin wires that stick out so that you can remove them.
I know, exactly.
Because you can't see them.
It's like the pull plug. It's just a plug to pull the thing out. Yeah, it's incredible. Now, I said I went through this experience with my father a little while ago. I'm super impressed. I'm impressed at how long they last, how small the batteries are. Like everything about them is it's an incredible experience. And then it is a absolute life changer for the people wearing them and the people around them. Yeah. The people around them, if you can't communicate, it makes it hard. It's super exciting. I'm also glad that the stigma around them seems to be getting softened up too, which is pretty cool.
Why is there stigma around them? If you can't see a person even has them, how do you even know?
Before folks are like, I'm still a healthy young man. I don't need hearing aids. I'm like, you're 65 and someone just rang the doorbell 6 times. You didn't hear it. So it's time for the hearing aid. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. In many ways, I kind of think a hearing loss is a feature, not a bug. There's a lot of times when it's really nice to not have to hear things.
Yes. I, too, am married.
Okay, so my prediction is that we'll have AI-assisted hearing aids in 2025, and I am...
You're looking like a probable plus.
Yeah, I'm not even going probable plus. I'm going probable because of the battery problem. AI still takes a lot of battery.
That is a decent amount of processing. You could offload it to another device, sort of like your AR prediction. That wasn't a prediction. I would say, I'd probably take probable on this as well.
I'll go probable.
I mean, but to me, though, the only part I'm questioning is the time component. You're going to see this. I don't know if it's going to be this year.
Oh, it's going to happen for sure.
Maybe instead of the batteries, you have like a little tiny, like, those guys on, have you ever been on YouTube? These guys that make these little tiny itty bitty scale model V8 engines. It's amazing.
Yeah, sure.
They're like gas powered. Maybe like a little mini nuclear. Like you just have like this little guy in Japan.
Nuclear power plant.
That hand makes a little tiny nuclear power plant that you just put in. You're like, I don't have to charge them. It's fine.
That's what I want in my ears for sure.
Right? Okay. Well, we agree on something finally. I like that.
Your turn, sir.
Okay. This also feels like a softball of a prediction, but I do think it's likely. Seeing more like productivity augmented through more personalization as a function of tech, meaning more personalized assistance, more personalized tooling that sort of knows what I do and what I like and the things that I prefer to make me ultimately more efficient. Mm-hmm. Getting rid of the stuff that's sort of the generic, no thought needed.
One size fits all.
So, other folks certainly are talking about this. So this isn't unique to me, but even like scheduling, like it is incredible to me that in 2025, scheduling is still a challenge with people. It's kind of gotten a little better. You've got services like Calendly that makes it a little bit better. You can select a time slot and a thing. But I do think you're going to have this world soonish where once you have an agent that knows that, in the mornings I like to go visit my friend Jeff and record a podcast and have a donut. And like, not a great time for me to talk on the phone. If it knows I'm more the afternoon, and then someone else is like on the East Coast, it can help find a time to suggest for us to meet. Like, it's a simple sort of version of personalization that I think is going to be a thing. So that sort of personalized productivity, I think, as you get more sort of productivity enhancement around the thing that you're doing. So we've talked about this for a long time as technologists, especially with AR, getting things that are visualized. So it's not just you staring at a 2D screen, but getting things that you can visualize. I think that's going to help increase productivity, and you're seeing the things that sort of you want to see, right, in the way they want. It makes the digital world less abstract, is what I think is sort of is going to happen. And then even more specifically, and I really do believe this is going to be a thing. I think probably this year, having an agent that is sort of specific to your task and role that you've helped, quote, train. Like it's learned from you via your email, via your work output. And if you're a product manager, you could have a thing that sort of does the first pass analysis of whatever, the business use case, the UX plan.
Sure.
And it doesn't replace you. It augments what you're doing and sort of helps start you in the right direction.
And then you can review what it's done and see if it's going in the right direction and all of that. Sure.
And like provide, like, because writing up, like I love good product managers, some of my favorite people to have on my teams. But a lot of what they do is, you're like writing stuff up and building these documents to communicate. It's very important to do that well, but it's a lot of your time. If you can offload a bunch of that and instead focus more on the big picture product decisions, I think that's a big win. We're already seeing this with developers now. Like I feel like the development world has already changed for the better. I'm saying it's going to come to more non-tech, non-information, quote, white collar jobs. I see that being a thing that is going to expand. And I believe it's probably going to happen this year. And so I'm going to go certain on that one.
In my experience, certainly in technology, a lot of the time that is spent writing up that white paper before you begin coding, what the specification is going to be, it wouldn't necessarily go faster to have someone help you write it, because it's all about making a lot of decisions. It's all of the thousands of decisions that you're making along the way that you're trying to make as good as possible. So I'm not sure that would necessarily help. Now, going back to your scheduling thing.
No, hold on. Let's come back to that, though, because I agree with you, but you know, typically when you're designing something, you're putting a team together, I want you to write down the most amount of stuff you can write until a change is going to occur.
Yeah.
Because everything you write after the change is useless.
Of course.
But I think there is value in being able to put down the whole chain, right? If you have your magical AI agent that does, and then when stuff changes, it flows those changes. Now you can start to see the whole picture, and then you go, oh, well, you know what? We actually wanted to put this here in the flow. That's going to change these things. It's okay for the rest to change. I just don't want to do the work. And if you can get rid of that, I think that actually makes for you to be able to paint a bigger picture, make more of the decisions up front, which will ultimately give you a better product, because now you're not just zoomed in thinking about this one piece. You're able to sort of construct the whole thing.
Think of the whole better. Yeah, sure. You mentioned the scheduling thing and the AI that will be able to help you, because it will know that you're busy actually in the afternoons recording a podcast.
It'll know for you just don't like people.
Yes, that's the AI that I want. It's just I want it to make bespoke excuses for why I can't attend your meeting.
Yeah. Yours is just cat dev null.
That's what I want.
And then there's like a cat dev null that's like respond nicely.
Yeah.
And then it's like Mad Libs. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry, Jeff has a colostomy this week.
Exactly.
That's how it reads it back to him. It still does the audio like you're on like a train from 1985. It's like, oh, I really would like to make your birthday, but I'm not going to be able to because root canal. And then it just moves on. I love the idea of that. Just Mad Libs.
You have to be a certain age to get that joke, but that's really funny.
That is basically what it is. I was literally just trying to schedule a dinner with a bunch of people, and we had it all. I used my little tools. We picked day that everybody could do. We were all in. We were ready to go. And one of the guys was like, "Oh, I was looking at the wrong month. I got a colonoscopy that day."
Sure you did.
And everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, okay, no problem." Like no, we all believed him, but no one was. There's zero people that were like, "So who cares? Just come out." They're like, no, you're not gonna be able to have dinner. You go ahead and do that. We'll just meet again in May. It was really funny.
What are you giving it?
I'm giving it certain. I think this is going to be a thing that not only is going to it's already infiltrated the knowledge sort of types of roles, right? The knowledge companies.
Yeah.
I see it pushing way down the stack. And I've got a couple of these around this, but I see that pushing way down the stack. So I'm going to go with certain on this.
I'm with you on that. I think it's probably pretty certain.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen.
Every time we vote certain, I just realize that it's just not a very grandiose prediction.
No, it's an important advance, to be sure.
I also predict this year will be, they're going to make the best iPhone they've ever made.
No, this is the year they're going back. I actually have it on good word.
They go retro. I love them going retro. They're like, it's black and white and thicker, and the battery is shit.
Exactly.
Take my money.
It's not the best iPhone ever made, but it's the one we got done this year.
It's pretty good.
Hope that's cool with you all.
It's the year we let the interns run the design camp. Everybody else is getting high on mushrooms. All right, what do you got next?
Portable power stations.
Okay.
Now they exist. They totally exist. 100% they exist.
Batteries?
I just think they're going to be more, they're going to be more prevalent because prices, I mean, theoretically, this is all going to get screwed up because of tariffs, but theoretically prices will go down, not only for like home power backup, but time shifting. I don't know if your house is like mine. Your power bills just keep going up and up and up. They just keep increasing their rates.
Yeah, of course.
So when we have different times of day, the energy costs different amounts.
Yeah.
So my hunch is you will be able to use home power backups to time shift when you are getting power from the grid.
Consumption.
Yeah.
I do think at peak usage, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. And that's where you see solar certainly helps.
Yeah.
Folks that have solar can help at peak use, summertime.
Well, that's the other thing is you can charge these things with anything. You can charge them from the wall. You can charge them from solar.
I don't know this to be factual. I'm completely making this up, but it seems like we still have a bit of an artificial price increase, or the prices have not come down as much on home battery storage and home solar because we still have some subsidies around it. Like, I feel like those numbers should be a lot lower.
It might be subsidies. You're right. But I am seeing home power backups that are 50% what they were 12 months ago.
Of cost? 50% of cost?
Yeah.
Like the same storage? Yeah, that's great. I like the idea. I mean, first of all, we are 100% dependent on power, of course. I don't live that far from you, and I'm sure I'm going to regret saying this out loud.
We're different power companies.
We are, yeah. But mine's really stable. Like, I have very little power, but also something that's, I don't know if this is why, everything in my neighborhood is below ground. There's not one telephone pole in my neighborhood, and I gotta believe that helps.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I know. I think that does make a big difference. You just have a lot less infrastructure concerns. The thing about underground is, like, man, it's gotta be so much harder to do, especially when you're in populated areas. Like, I watch them put over the years power underground in Mission Beach in San Diego.
Yeah.
Super smart move, but like that was not easy. Once you stack shit up on top of it, it's hard to do.
I cannot imagine places like the Palisades will not now get underground power.
Yeah.
I mean, underground everything.
Again, those costs are up. That cost has to be borne by someone. It's going to go somewhere.
But you're taking out almost everything. And so
Yeah.
why not start over with
Yeah.
something we know that makes a huge difference in reducing fires and just costs?
I'm with you.
Underground's the way to go.
I will say I was pretending here like everything is just fine with underground. And for the most part, it has been. My power has been very stable at home.
It's great.
However, during the monster rains we got last year
Sure.
up here, some of the AT&T data cable flooded.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So we had folks that had no dial tone on pots for months up here.
Oh, that's terrible.
And they were very unhappy about it. But like it was a really hard problem. And I watched where they had to, reconnect. They put a temp line in, but then it took them probably 3 or 4 months to pull new cable between that. And they're only going maybe half mile, quarter mile, half mile, not super far. They had to pull between it and then re-terminate. And like once those things go, man, they go.
Yeah.
And I really want to stick my head in there to see it because I'm a nerd like that. But none of the crew there looked very friendly when I drove by.
Portable power stations and home power backups, prices are falling. I'm going to mention one more thing here while I'm on the subject of power. This is the year of the 500-watt solar panel becoming the norm.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Solar panels for forever have been in the 350 to 450.
350. Yeah.
Well, 250 is, I think we're past 250. I'm not sure you can buy a 250 anymore. But 350 to 450 are what became common.
Yeah.
This is the year. Size will stay the same. We'll get better cell efficiency. And I think we're going to 500 watts.
On the same size panel.
On the same size
I
panel.
want to be clear, you could just make the panel bigger and 500 watts.
No.
The giant
You're missing
panel.
the point.
No, I get the point. I'm just making sure you don't have some weird nuance baked in there.
No.
Where you're just like, this panel is the size of my house, but you're only 500 watts. You're
Yes,
like,
I can bolt two 350 panels together, and now I've got a 700 panel. Yes, that's what I mean.
You're a magician. That's fat. I'm not close enough to solar to know, but it does seem like it holds to a line that goes up to the right.
Pretty
Like,
amazing efficacy.
How efficient are these things now? 70%? 65%?
No, not even near that.
Or sorry. I'm at the inverse. I mean, how much power are they giving up? The efficiency on these things is like 20, 25%, 30%, somewhere
That's
there.
more
Yeah.
like it, yeah.
So there's still a lot of room to go. I don't think they're going to get to 100%.
A lot of room to go.
You're still going to have some heat generation, but man, you could probably double it.
Of course.
That's probably reasonable over the next N years. Something that's interesting about this that I have noticed is it does seem like everybody is making or slapping their name on and selling a home battery solution. And they're not cheap, right? These are like single digit thousands of dollars
Sure.
for large battery solutions, which is really interesting to me. I keep a generator for this purpose.
Generators are a great way to go. Okay, home power backup, and I think that's probable.
Yeah, I'll give it probable.
The 500-watt solar panel, I'm also putting as probable.
Oh, I'd be more probable plus on that. I don't even know that, but I don't know enough of that world, but I feel like that's going up.
My problem is tariffs. I can't tell you what's going to happen. So much of this research is being done in China, and I just can't tell you what's going to happen with tariffs.
I kind of want to do to you what I do to all of our listeners when I see them out in public. And somebody brings up tariffs, and I'm like, let me tell you about washing machines. And like literally their eyes roll over in their head. Like listen to the episode. I'm like, well, let me just tell you about the details. Like, Jesus Christ, you're talking about washing machines again. I literally have a friend who will leave the conversation when I start talking about washing machines.
Sure.
She's like, I've already heard this one. I'm like, but it's different. I'm like, not really. Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. This is loosely related, sort of, let's call it adjacent to what you just said.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see an increase in tech at large supporting disaster preparedness and response. We saw this in the wildfires here.
I hope so. Yes,
Right?
of course.
Yeah, of course. I hope so.
We get better at that every year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're going to see like a bigger knee in the curve come up the next year because of what we've seen, especially in California with the fires in the Palisades and the Eaton fire, leveraging more, and Australia a couple of years ago too, right? That was super nuts. We've seen it like on the ground use. You saw me use it during the show and our recordings. Like I'm watching helicopters, I'm watching where the wind looks like wind prediction maps, like all of those things. Them, using it for coordination. I have some new friends that had I didn't know them during the fire. I've just recently met them. They have a farm up in Topanga. They had to get rid of all their animals.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have enough trucks and trailers, but there was a community of people that said, hey, whatever you need, we got you. We got trucks, we got trailers. And they were just coming up there taking their animals to get them out of harm's way. You couldn't do that without real-time communication, right? Whether it's the WhatsApp or social media or whatever.
The coordination of all that will just get better.
Yeah. But then you also have, I think, the things that are a little more distant from the end user, whether it's AI analysis of fire maps or existing satellite topography, like knowing like, hey, this area right here, probably fire risk. And here's what you're going to see. If you were to see a fire that started here, it's most likely to happen here. Here's how it's going to spread. Things like that, right? That's not just after event, but pre-event.
Yeah.
That I think is pretty interesting. And we're seeing this we've seen tech deployed in the past 20, 30 years around earthquake detection. We've talked about that here, where you can detect an earthquake.
Which is kind of remarkable.
It's magic.
I get a text on my phone prior to feeling the earth. Now it's 5 seconds, not enough I can really do anything. But it's like,
no, that's not true. You can do a ton. Just getting people out of harm's way of shit falling. Imagine you're a mechanic.
Yeah, I could get it on my desk. That's about as much time as I have.
Yeah, but that makes a huge difference. I mean, an elevator, first responders spend a lot of time getting people out of stuck elevators. So even if you have an elevator that just opens the doors on a floor, if that's all it does. So you see this all the time, and that is a huge win. Also, by the way, if I tell you more about elevators, you will never want to get in one ever again, because you're in the elevator with the other people going up and down, making farting sounds. Next to you is a counterweight that's the same thing.
That's exactly right.
Going up and down. Yeah. We've already had that tech. I'm just saying I think we're going to see more of it, especially with things like OpenStreetMaps and open satellite data. Yeah. So I'm very excited about this. I think this is great for everyone. And I would say this is a very squishy prediction, but I would say I'm pretty certain about this because I see it happening.
I think OpenStreetMaps is one of the unheralded game changers in our world.
And so few people know that it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'd say certain. How about you?
I'm absolutely certain. I mean, I think that's just a natural evolution of where things will go, of course.
Yeah, there's squishy predictions.
All right, we have to get out of here quickly before we do. Have you seen or read anything good this last week?
Okay, so here's the thing. We spent a lot of time talking about these predictions in the future, robots and all this stuff.
Sure.
At some point, Illuminati, I don't know who.
Yeah.
They're going to teach the algorithms to talk.
Oh, okay.
Which I know is coming.
Okay.
When they do this and you ask YouTube's algo, hey, describe what CJ watches to us. Like, just tell us.
Sure.
It's going to be one of the saddest of answers. Because it is figured out that I never scroll, basically never scroll past highlights from old late night talk shows.
Sure.
Which is kind of the best and saddest thing about me.
I'll give you one thing sadder. You ready for this?
Oh, shit. Go ahead.
I saw them when they aired originally.
That's really funny. I have extremely fond memories of staying up late and watching Carson as a kid.
Sure.
So that's probably part of why it's still there. This particular one that I came across was Walter Matthau on Carson.
Oh, sure.
This is December of 81, right? So I don't have a lot of memory of it. He gets on. He hasn't even sat in the chair yet.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the chair and he says to Johnny, the setup is, my wife told me not to tell any toilet jokes, which I think is a fantastic open.
Sure.
To which he then says, but people keep telling me toilet jokes, so I feel like I need it. And Johnny's just sitting there going, don't do it. And then he goes in and he tells this deadpan toilet joke, and it's Walter Matthau, and it's fucking hysterical, and it completely kills.
Because he's hilarious. Yes, he was so funny.
And it's 45 years later, and it's still funny as shit, and it's still fantastic, and just the whole juxtaposition, and everything was great. And I'm like, how could I not stop on this? This is better than 98% of the shit that was produced yesterday and thrown on YouTube or TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, this is gold.
You're seeing a very high level comedian.
Of course.
Yes.
But I don't know if you know this, the toilets are still the same. The joke still plays. It wasn't like a topical joke. I mean, you could take that joke back to just about any time in the past 150 years and people would find it funny. It was fantastic.
Put the link in the notes. I want to see it.
I will. It's really great. All I ask, I will give you the share. All I ask is I just want to know if you remember.
If I saw it live?
If you remember watching it live. That's all I ask.
It's not striking any bells.
It's really good. It's one of the ones I haven't seen. I mean, the algorithm knows me so well. It's going in. It could have been AI generated for all I know. I don't give a shit. It was hysterical. Matthau was. That's probably how you know it wasn't AI generated. It was hysterical.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is the sadness of what I've seen the best in the past week, because it sure as fuck wasn't the Super Bowl, which I had nodded off about 3 times during.
Well, I watched the whole thing from beginning to end.
It was, there were some parts in there where I was just, that was rough. It was rough to watch the drubbing that they got. But anyway.
Listen, I can't let go of the Super Bowl thing. I think the camera work on Super Bowls has gotten, football has gotten so good.
Yeah.
Everything about how they broadcast football now, to me, just makes football so much more accessible and so much more entertaining.
Totally.
And it was great before.
The Skycam shot is the best thing ever.
Mind blowing. And it's a short lens, and you're like, that camera can't be more than 12 feet away from that player. How do they do that?
And the controllers that are working on it, it's so amazing.
Really cool.
Did you see the little special call they did for the guy that was the handheld camera operator there?
Yes, very sweet. He's retiring. Yes.
Did you see the shot they showed of him?
Yeah.
I was like,
fantastic.
That's fucking handheld? I was like, how is that handheld?
Sure.
It was insane how good that guy is.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some motion stability on there, maybe a little bit in post, but it looked
perfect.
Incredible. I do love it though. They do replace it with a robot, and it's like tracking the ball, but then it just zooms in on the chick with the low cut top behind it. So that's just we should have let Brad train this one. Shit. All right. How about you? What have you seen this past week?
Nobody Wants This, Season 1. An agnostic sex podcaster and a newly single rabbi fall in love, discovering if their relationship survives their wildly different lives and meddling families. He's up for the head rabbi job at a temple like Wilshire Boulevard, where having a non-Jewish significant other is a no-no. And the question is, will she give up on her beliefs and convert so she can have him? Will he give up on his lifetime dream to be head rabbi so he can have her? It's a rom-com. Kristen Bell, Adam Brody, Justine Loop, Timothy Simons, who is fantastic. The working title was Shiksa, which probably tells you everything you need to know. However, if you don't know, Shiksa is a disparaging Yiddish term for a Gentile woman or girl, and it literally means abomination, impure, or object of loathing.
I thought it meant meat on a stick. I heard shish kebab.
Shiksa
I'm
Bob.
clearly hearing the wrong thing.
There are a few unbelievable things here, not the least of which is Kristen Bell's character grew up in Los Angeles and is a shiksa, and yet does not know the word shiksa. It felt a little like, ha ha ha, the goyim sure are stupid. So trust me, I was really ready to hate this series, but if you can overlook these little missteps, Nobody Wants This is a delightful ride.
I mean, we're doing a lot of Netflix plugging. Are you fighting with Apple?
You know what? My Apple and I aren't getting along.
Why not?
I'm trying to watch a series on Apple right now. What I see of it is really good. I've only gotten through the first episode.
Severance?
No, I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you later.
You're watching Severance?
But it's really good. But the problem is I get so many technical problems with Apple TV.
Really?
And I don't get any problems with any other streamer.
What's your playback device? What are you watching on?
the Google Chrome streamer?
I think you already know the answer.
Everything plays perfectly on every other streamer, and for some reason the Apple one just like jitters. Stop.
Are you using the
jitter.
Apple app on the Chromecast?
Yeah.
Or are you streaming? Are you casting from a device?
I don't have to cast it.
That's what I mean. You're playing from an app on the device, an app on the Chromecast.
Yeah. If I put it on, pause it for a while,
Let it buffer up.
yeah, then I can watch the show flawlessly. It's a step I don't have to make for any other streamer, and I wish Apple would just, whatever the problem is, fix it, because it drives me crazy.
This is why I make sure all my friends have Apples, and if they don't, I don't hang out with them anymore.
Well, that solves my problem too. I mean, then
Green Bubble Boy, get over there, Green Bubble Boy. I don't care.
this podcast could be a lot shorter. I could get a lot more of my thoughts out.
Don't kid yourself. It'll still be fucking 45 minutes long. Okay, Nobody Wants This actually sounds super interesting. I feel like I'm going to have to watch this.
It's really good. It's surprisingly good. Nobody Wants This, Season 1 on Netflix now.
I'll check that out.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for All This Nonsense, a truly terrible podcast from The Awful Company. Visit us on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm Stu.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my personal favorite, Overcast, or wherever you may get your podcasts from.
Nonsense is brought to you by the Hot Water Council. Cold showers are for polar bears. You're not a polar bear. Enjoy some invigorating hot water today. Bringing you delicious tea, steaming baths, and clean dishes for centuries. That's hot water.
I'm so sorry, Shay. I'm so sorry. We tried. We really tried.
Special thanks to our floor director, Scotty Benson.
Oh, thank you, Scotty. Good work in that national championship game this year, buddy. That was great. Anyway, we'll be every Thursday morning for more nonsense. Please join us.
What was the sound effect?
Because Scotty is one of these dumbass Notre Dame fans I hang out with.
Oh, okay.
He literally has a Notre Dame tattoo on his fucking arm, and he's never been to Notre Dame. He's never been there. He didn't go there. He's never been there. Got a fucking tattoo of Notre Dame on his arm. Notre Dame, see. What is a goddamn Notre Dame fan, it seems. Like, just like, what?
Go Leprechauns.
Good luck finding that pot of gold there in that national championship game. Fucking toolbox.
Oh, my.